So again, we started this 3 years ago today, and it has grown into Speakers Speak Live, has grown into not just a place to practice your speaking, but we're actually showcasing our presentations now. And that is the only way we as other speakers can learn about your speaking style is by seeing you speak. And when that happens, we are able to refer you to stages that we are on and talk to decision makers about you. I had no idea that's where this was going, but it has turned into that, where we are actually referring each other to places that we speak, which is really cool to see. And the deep relationships have formed here, and you see it when you go to NSA Influence or Thrive this past year. I saw people that I knew from Speakers Speak Live that were running up to each other. They'd see them across the room, and you'd see these two people sprinting together and big hugs. They've never met in person, but they've been meeting here every week, or at least every week that their calendar allows. So it's that type of relationship building that we knew was missing in our careers for sure, that ongoing every week getting one-to-ones and having deep discussions with each other. It's really turned into something special. So I'm going to give you a little introduction of Mike Domitrz. He is my first guest here. And Mike was actually, I have this thing on the Speakers Speak group on Facebook called the $1 Million Nugget. We have the $1 Million Minute here, but we have the $1 Million Nugget, and that is where I interview people for 40, 45 minutes or so. And it's not every week, it's every once in a while, but Mike was the very first interviewee of the $1 Million Nugget. And I asked him the question, I remember the question, I said, so Mike, everything's opening up and speakers have been out for about 6 months now. And I'm just curious, because you're all over the place and you're really busy speaking and everything. I said, how have audiences changed? And his reply, as only Mike can, because he is right to the point, he says, the audience expects that you're going to suck. That was it. So, Mike, I want to give a little introduction, but I want you to think about this question. I'd like you to comment first to kick this off. What do you say now to that question? How have audiences changed here now since it's 2024? We're halfway through. Let me tell you a little bit more about Mike if you do not know about him already. He is, number one, a Hall of Fame speaker. He is one of the most sought after speakers on the globe. His speaking calendar is insane by any speaker's standards. He speaks to tens of thousands each year. He is presented on 5 continents. He's been quoted in a large number of publications, including Forbes, the Wall Street Journal, and he's the author of 2 books. His clients range from the Pentagon to the U.S. military across the globe. He's about to speak to the armed forces in Europe in just 1 hour from now. And he also speaks, a good chunk of his speaking is to universities throughout North America, middle schools, high schools, and corporations. I'm actually going to find a link a little bit later to add to the chat of a full-length keynote that he gave, a full program that I believe you should have every one of your children watch. I've seen it at least 4 times, one with my wife, one for each child individually. Very important for you to watch that with people that you love. So Mike, let's see, what else? Mike loves coaching speakers, leaders, and authors how to catapult their speaking business by becoming more impactful speakers. And to me, Mike is the master of mining audiences. So we're going to talk to Mike more about getting testimonials from your audiences and getting leads for potential other stages from your audiences. But first, Mike, I got to ask you that question. So how have audiences changed since even the time that I asked you that question the last time?
Well, I would argue that many audiences still, and always have, this isn't new, expected the speaker to be bad, right? Because the problem is people remember the last person they saw. Unless the audience is your fan club, and celebrities can experience that. Unless they're your fan club and they know about you and they love you, unless that's the case, many audiences walk into a speaker with hesitation. And do I really need to be here? Could I be doing something else? That's in their mindset. And so one of the reasons we have to be amazing in the first 30 seconds is we have to prove them wrong right away so that we activate them and energize them to want to say, hey, this is something different. And the moment somebody says this is something different in the first 5 to 30 seconds, you have the opportunity to open minds and gain the traction with an audience that others miss out on often. And so that's the key. Assume that your audience does not love you and is not happy to be in the room. And that makes you be that much better. Because if you think, well, this is going to be a cakewalk, you can get a little arrogant in how you take an approach to a speech. And I want you all in. I want you to think, hey, that audience out there, they know nothing about me. They might not want to be in the room. So I got to bring it all to captivate them. And I believe that's where we should start every speech. Now, I do want to pause on one thing there, Marty. Of everything you said in the introduction, which thank you very much, by the way, the thing that struck me and my soul was you've watched the full keynote for high schoolers 4 times, once with each kid. I didn't know that. I knew you had watched it. You had told me that before, but I did not know at that level. That's why we do this work. And I hope everybody watching right now understands you do this work for behavioral impact, not for applause, not for standing ovations. That when you leave the room, people are different than they were when they walked in the room. It's not that they just have more information. Anybody can do that. A handout can do that. It's that they want to take different actions in their life than they did before they walked in the room. Notice what I said, actions. So sitting down with your kids, with each kid watching that video. And I didn't tell Marty this is something you should do with each of your kids. So Marty made that choice without me knowing or asking Marty to do that. But that's what fills my soul. That's why we do this work. So thank you, Marty. That was really beautiful to hear.
You originally, when we first met and I was going through your training program, you showed on screen some amazing things you were doing with gaining testimonials from your audiences. And when you're talking to audiences with 100, 200, 400, 500, 600 people, testimonials can be quite numerous if you do the process right. And not only do testimonials come in, but also if you do it right, you can really have a gold mine in your audience and they can produce potential leads for you to follow up on. So, now we have Talkadot, so that has swept the nation in the professional speakers environment. And so a lot of the things that you used to do manually and with programming and all those things are in products out there, and who knows what's going to be coming up with AI. So I thought it would be a perfect opportunity for you as the master generator of testimonials and leads from your audiences to just start out with an update. What can you offer us as speakers out there to mine our audiences for potential leads and testimonials?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I want to start by emphasizing what we just mentioned for those who came on at the 11 o'clock hour, the 12 o'clock, depending where you are, 10. And it's what I said before, actually. None of this is going to work if you're not wowing from the stage. So this technique and strategy I'm about to share, you have to be bringing it to the stage so that people want to share. Because what I'm about to show you is you're going to get the most honest feedback from your audiences with what I'm about to share, which means if you're going to say to your clients, look at this incredible feedback your audience just gave, and it sucks, you're in trouble. Because I promised the client I'm going to give them all the feedback. So first off, you really have to bring it every time. And that, as you know, Marty, is way longer than a 10-minute program, how to do that. Because the one thing that most people struggle with, and is what we love coaching, is how do you bring out the individual? So you got to bring out how you bring out you and get the audience to take action. Those are the critical things that more of a coaching thing, but it's going to be critical to this working. Let me just lay that groundwork. And Julianne already proved it. So in the chat, when we were talking, Julianne said, I was in HR, and this is exactly how people walked into presentations. So Julianne, I am paying attention to the chat. Everybody, I always am. And I appreciate that. Julianne just gave us a thumbs up because we need to be aware of that. So many times speakers think, oh, they're going to love me, which means you think this is about you. It's about the audience. And what we're about to talk about is proof of that. So what we do, Marty, is I believe that no one can tell you how a speech went except the audience and you. The client also, obviously, that's the obvious one. But what you're really going to see if you know how to get feedback from an audience is where you could improve, where you are a rock star and you could lean more into, where there is more content you are not hitting. And you could create a new speech, potentially a book. You can create other at the end of my speech, what I do is I put up on the screen prizes I'm about to give away to the audience. For my case, it's t-shirts, it's books, and my audiences want them because they've been given away a few times during the program prior to this point. I hope everybody caught that. It's called seeding. I was making it happen before the ending point. So when I get to the end, they want these prizes because a few people have already gotten them. Then I say, all right, here's how everybody's going to have a chance to get the prizes. You're going to share what you used from today that really changed, that how you're going to act differently when you leave this room. And a few people do that, we give out a few prizes. And then I say, well, good news. We're going to give away the main slides. We're going to give away both my books. Notice I'm not selling my books back at the room. It's okay if you are. I just find this is way more productive. I give away both my books. All they have to do is go to this QR code right here. Now notice I'm doing it just like I'm in the speech. There's the QR code. There's the website if you're not good with QR codes. One mistake a lot of people make is they only put the QR code, and people can struggle with QR codes due to phone technology issues. So we've got the website right there. Now here's what's great about this. Everybody doing this right now can be playing with this on your computer while I'm teaching, going to cfrgift.com and seeing this is a real survey Mike's pointing us to, because it is. And that what's seen ideally would look like this right here. You'll see there's the survey, right? So that's the survey that was just sending you to. So this is going to send you to that survey. Now, you might be thinking, Mike, how do you get a lot of people to do this? Why would the audience want to do this? Have at least a few key slides that are so awesome, such great resources that everybody in the room wants them. And then you say, I'm giving you those, not all of them. I'm giving you the key 4 to 6 slides. Nobody needs a 64-point slide deck or 100-point slide deck. That is overwhelming. 4 to 6 key ones, plus the books. And then here's what really does it. If you're in an association organization where the company cares they were there, we also say, this proves you were in the room. So we're going to send this back to the client and show who was in the room. So we're going to have a separate attendance sheet we're going to pull out of this and a separate feedback sheet. They will not see who said what. And I say this to the audience. They're not going to see who said what. It's 2 separate things. So this makes sure you get credit for being in the room. Now, if they care about getting credit in the room, your numbers are insane as far as the number of people that take the survey. All right, so now they're all taking the survey. Notice the questions if you went to it. They were not, did you like the speaker? They were not, how was the speaker's handouts? Ugh. How does that prove anything? You could like me and get nothing out of it. You could like me, be highly entertained, but do nothing different in your life. So the questions on the survey are, what are you going to do differently today than you did before? The questions are, what are you going to use from today? How would you describe this to someone who wasn't here? There's your testimonials, by the way, Marty, right there. How would you describe this to someone who wasn't here? And then last, what are questions you have for the speaker, Mike Domitrz? By the way, those answers are often the things they wanted more of. And you don't know that until you read their questions. If the same thing keeps showing up, I need to put it in the speech. If that many people are asking for the same thing. If it's an outlier, it could be a new video for me on YouTube, could be an article for me to write, it could be some other content feed, right? But here's where it gets beautiful, because I'm going to export all those answers. And in a matter of 5 minutes into Excel sheet, create it into a PDF file that looks just like this right here. Now, I want everybody to notice the numbers, right? The numbers. This is a program dealing with sexual violence, sexual assault, and consent. Due to today's program, I am more likely to ask first before engaging in sexual intimacy. Now, if you ask most people, do they ask for consent before the program, you'll get less than 20%. They'll say nobody does that, it ruins the moment. Right? So we're trying to get a major behavioral shift. Notice the percentage up there. 97% are saying they're more likely to, right? And then 97% are more likely to stop someone from committing this crime at a party. And then 96% are more likely to call loved ones that day and tell them, I'm here for you if this has ever happened to you. Now think about the client reading these numbers, and you are not editing or censoring. These are the real numbers. The client's now going to go, well, we have to have this program back because this gets results. This is what we want, results. But this isn't even my favorite part. Watch what happens next. Remember those questions, those open-ended questions that I cannot lead them to? They can only say what's on their mind. Well, now we go to those questions, and I'll blow some of these up for you so you can see them a little easier. Look at everything they're going to do. This is a question what I'm going to do, right? They're not putting one thing even sometimes. They're putting 3 things. But because I'm me, the kind of issue I'm going to ask, but you'll get people saying this one, no is not mean. They feel empowered to say no for the first time in their life. That's a major shift for someone to understand it's okay to say no, right? Then we scroll over and we say, all right, how do you describe this to someone who wasn't here? Now, I did not put these in the order. Just to be very clear, this is randomized order. All right. This person goes into almost writes a mini book on what my speech was right there. But go to the second one, eye-opening, great, fun, educational. Asking is awkward, so these tips are something you're going to want, right? Look up a video of him speaking because everything he said was perfectly on point. Keep in mind, this is just off the top of their head, right? I forgot to tell you one other thing. These are not professionals in this audience. You're reading students' comments. Look at how intellectual they are, right? Sometimes people don't give generations credit. They are highly intellectual comments. So now the client sees this and thinks, holy cow, we've got something really special here. And this is how you build a relationship with clients for 20 years, where they're bringing you every year because they want these results. And we do this for every client at every event, Marty, whether it's corporate, high school, middle school, university, US military. We're always doing this. All right. And it doesn't take much time. It takes me 10 minutes to export and create this PDF you're looking at. Now, Marty, you brought up Talkadot. And just to be clear, I don't use it. All right. I want to be transparent because, and this is the only reason, I want highly customized surveys. All my surveys are customized to the audience of the event I'm doing. All right. So I have the same survey for every high school, my Safer Choices program, but it's a different survey for the college version. It's a different survey for the military version. Let me tell you why this is amazing, or turns out to be helpful. I can pull 30,000 results from high schools and show schools, here's 30,000 students' responses in the last 3 years. I can pull 40,000 from universities. These are incredible numbers when somebody's trying to say, well, post-event surveys don't mean that much. There's not enough of a size to have research-wise to count. Well, when you have 20,000, 30,000, 40,000, because you do this every time for year after year after year, now you also have proof. Do I give a book to everyone in the audience? So everybody, Vidya, if I said that correct, if I did not, I apologize. Everybody, when they fill out the survey and they hit the submit button, it forwards them to my website. And on a special page just for that audience are the downloads, are both my books as ebooks, and the one book also as an audiobook. I'm giving it. It's just something I believe in. And so my view is I'd rather everybody walk out with the book than try to sell it back to the room. But I'm not saying that's the only way to do this. That's just my approach in my work.
And what you showed us there is a live QR code, right? So everybody here can scan that and go through the process. I recommend that you do that just to see the sequence that Mike uses and just study that. And remember, you'll have this on recording as well. So Dana, any burning question to bring out there?
Do you ask, Lori wants to know, do you ask permission to present the survey in your presentation?
So that can mean a few different things. I'm going to ask for a little clarification on that question. So do you mean this survey right here, the one that I'm showing all of you? Notice there is no identification anywhere on the survey that I just pulled up for you. So that is done to be confidential. As far as confidential, all of my audiences are filling out a program that they know we will not reveal who said what, that we will share their comments. So I tell them that. I say, we're going to extract the names so we have an attendance list, and we're going to extract separately the comments. We're going to actually mix them all up so nobody knows who said what. And that's what we will share, right? But that way they also know. So just so everybody's aware with that. Our meeting planners, there we go. Lori just asked. Our meeting planners love this, Lori. All right. Because if they want to get any question out of the audience, I'll allow them to add it to my survey because it's a customizable survey. So now they don't have to do survey. They'll like, we'll let you do yours, Mike. It's more effective. You get better results and you'll give us our questions on your survey. So once or twice in 20 years, somebody said, nope, only our survey, right? But all of our clients, before they book me, they're looking at these survey results. So they know this is what I do with the audience. We're very transparent about it. If they have an issue, I would obviously honor that. I'm all about consent, right? The last thing I want to do is breach their boundaries. So we're going to honor that in that case.
And what
Awesome.
there is a couple questions about what software do you use? If it's not Talkadot, what do you use for your survey?
Okay, this is the good news. Any survey software. So I happen to use, I live in Zoho. That's how my business is run, my CRM. So this is just, what you just looked at is just the survey app in Zoho. But you could have done SurveyMonkey. You could have done, Lois brought up, Google Docs. You could do any way you want to create surveys and track. Google Docs are free. Okay, so there are benefits to certain ones over others. I like Zoho because it all stays in the same system and they can actually be added to my CRM potentially. So it makes it super easy.
Mike, would you invite people here to connect with you in some way and ask questions based on what you just presented? How would you recommend that they find out more?
Yeah, so here's what they do. I'm at a couple different links. I just put one in the chat. That's my upcoming, you're aware of this, Marty, that's my upcoming retreat for speakers that I'm going to host in October, where we really dive deep. Marty's attended one of my workshops before. If you haven't figured out yet, I don't hold anything back. So if we have somebody attending, we're going to dive deep into your business, your messaging, your branding, but most importantly, how do you get your audience to take action that really creates clarity for the client too? And all of that with your best self, not some ridiculous speaker model you need to fit that everybody teaches. And not everybody does that, but there are a lot who do that. I think I want you on stage, being you the best way you can be you. And that's really filling your soul, not just getting caught in the money in the pocketbooks that sometimes we'll get caught into. I think we want to be who we truly are. So that's one. The other way they find me is just go to centerforrespect.com. That's where all my other work is, and they can find us there. So either Peak Impact Events, which is the retreat, or centerforrespect.com, and you'll find me there. I'm also all over social media at Mike Respects. Mike Respects.